Hi guys, it's album review time. We've got Black Smoke Trigger and Horizons. So this is the debut album from this hard rock band, melodic hard rock band, modern melodic hard rock band from New Zealand. So the EP came out in 2019. They formed in 2018, so not a lot of music from these guys. Took a little bit of their EP to come since they founded the band, and then it's been a little bit of a wait as well for the album. So 5 years, between the first EP and the first album. Is it worth the wait? It definitely is. This is a banging album, really heavy. Like I said, this is a modern hard rock band, melodic as well. So we're not talking heavy, we're talking, heavy the way I like it, not extreme metal or anything. This is sort of taking influence from some of those great early 90s bands, almost like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Audio Slave, I would say. But, touching upon those, but having so much melody as well, which I think, some people relate to that time in the early 90s as bands that, less melodic. I wouldn't agree with that. Alice in Chains have, been a part of my life since then, remained a part of my life and my music listening pleasure now. A great band. I think, those sort of bands have got so much melody. They might have a bit of a darker side to them, but they've got so much melody, and that's where Black Smoke Trigger takes some of their influence from. So for a debut album, even though, like I said, it's taken a little while to get here, it's a brilliant album. There's loads of sort of dynamics to this album. You've got probably 2 or 3 what you would call ballads as such, but they've got really heavy parts in them. So there's lots of light and shade throughout this album, lots of dynamics throughout every song, really. There's some great, I will get onto the musicians in a minute, but there's some great pounding rhythms. The bass lines especially good, and that's what, I think that a lot of that early 90s music had as well, heavy rock and metal music. The bass lines were really important to the band. I think that's an important part of this band, and that's sort of the driving force through especially a lot of the verses throughout this album. If you're a bass lover, you will love some of the bass lines that are written here, and the vocal melody lines as well. There's some great catchy choruses in this. There's no lack of melody all the way through this album. Some of the choruses actually are really stuck in my head even after a couple of listens of this album. So let's run through the musicians in the band. You've got Baldrick on the vocals, and he's a brilliant vocalist, almost taking that sort of classic metal sort of range on, almost like like Chris Cornell did. Rest in peace Chris Cornell, obviously. Almost like that power and range that he had. So he can do those really nice, quiet, melodic parts, almost feeling a little bit vulnerable at times. And then you can feel his power as he goes in for those higher notes. Amazing vocalist. And then you got Charlie Wallace on the guitars. Well, this is guitar driven. It's real riff driven. Like I said, you get bass lines coming in, then the dynamics of the guitars come in. There's great solos. It is more about the songs and the rhythm and the riffs more than solos here, but there's some great solos when Charlie Wallace actually opens up and does a solo. Great guitarist. Then you got Dan Fulton on the bass and Josh Tamaro on the drums. So yeah, I mean, these guys, it's heavy. It's really pounding at times. There's some stomping songs on here. I'm especially impressed with the bass playing, but the drumming is just so tight. These guys, I think they've taken their time on this album. It sounds that way. It sounded like almost like perfectionists in a way, that they wanted this to be the right release. And fuck it, they really have released a great album here. I'm going to talk about my favourite tracks on the album. We start off with a real cool tune called Phantom Pain. This is actually released, I believe, as a single on release day of the album. So it's a dark, heavy opener. That sort of droning, almost doomy riff in the verses is brilliant. The chorus is very cool. And the overall feel of the song makes for a great opening track. An excellent song to start the album off. Then I want to talk about The Way Down. This was a single release. In fact, a long time ago this came out. I mean, I would have looked back, but it was a long time. This was the first single that sort of got me excited for this album, and it's got an excellent video to accompany it. So if you want to check out the video, it's a brilliant video. I won't tell you a lot about it, just go and check it out now on YouTube. Modern heavy rock done at its best, man. It's kind of like this tribal drumming rhythms in the verses, and it sort of leads to a really soaring chorus, a heavy but very melodic track that really sort of portrays their early 90s influence. Perfect Torture is the next song. This was a single as well. This is a ballad. You call it a ballad, but all their ballads or slow songs, if you like, have real heavy parts in them. So, you know, ballad-esque, I suppose. But this is dripping emotion, man. Acoustic guitar with those vocals while the intensity builds. It's like a slow build. Into the chorus. It's just amazing. It builds and it builds and that chorus melody is just so addictive. The chorus is brilliant. It's like somber, it's emotional. The song has everything. One of the many highlights on this album. Proof of Life is the next song I want to talk about. Another single. There was a lot of single release leading up to this album. A heavy riff starts this one off and a very cool bass line precedes it. It's a track that sort of, you know, you can imagine like on an older Alter Bridge album, maybe Blackbird or something like that. I'd love to hear Alter Bridge do stuff like this now. Sort of, they're missing that a little bit. Guitars crashing between the cool bass lines, a great driving chorus to top off another heavy and addictive song on this album. Learn to Crawl is the next song. And another single, yep, you guessed it, ballad of sorts, I suppose you could say. Again, come either side of Proof of Life. So you've got this real heavy track as Proof of Life, then you've got Perfect Torture, and you've got Learn to Crawl either side of it. Brilliant songs, sort of ballads of sorts, like I said, but they're real heavy sections in each song. This is a really dynamic track. Again, I think when they slow it down, they really got a lot of dynamics. Vocalist Baldrick really sort of taking charge in this song. The chorus is heavy yet melodic, with the vocal melody lines really sort of cleverly written and catchy. I think this band are great at that. Psycho is the next track I want to talk about. This is heavy, quite fun track. Lyrically, I think, dealing with a relationship where the woman is, well, you know, psycho, a little bit psycho. The music is captivating though, as usual, man. Heavy pounding rhythms in the chorus and another really catchy, well thought out melody line. Then I want to talk about a great song on the album, Sun Cries Red, another song that I covered in a reaction. What a song, man. Love this one. Acoustic guitar and vocals just build up the anticipation in this song. There's strings as well to accompany this that come in throughout the song, giving it an emotional and epic feel on this track. The whole band kick ass on this track. I love this. And they sort of come in at about the halfway mark, and it's another brilliant ballad-esque track. And then I want to finish my review with the last song on the album, Promise. Closing track here, obviously a heavy finish to the album again, pulling in their early 90s influence. Again, a great bass line on this running through the song, leading to a really heavy and soaring chorus. A great way to finish the album. So man, I really recommend this. I mean, I don't get pulled in a lot from this sort of style sometimes. It takes a special band to do that. This is one of them. And, you know, and they're sort of, some of these sort of bands, you know, like Blacktop Mojo have got a little bit of that early 90s influence as well. Some of my favourite bands now. So it's almost like I've come a bit of a U-turn. Love all the melodic 80s style stuff as well. But if you do it right with modern heavy rock, like Black Smoke Trigger do, man, they smash it out of the park on this album. They really do, and they give me a different side to my listening pleasure. And you got to do it right, because a lot of this sort of music, sometimes, you know, it's got to have that melody. And I think sometimes bands in the modern heavy rock sort of thing scene sort of lack a bit of melody. Not the case here. Every track has got a chorus to die for. Guys, let me know if you love this band, whether you got the album already. Let me know. It's already out. It came out Friday, just gone, 2nd of August. Amazing band, amazing album. Black Smoke Trigger and Horizons.